All right, let's talk about something that, if you're a parent or a caregiver, you've probably faced. I mean, it's that moment, right? You have to set a boundary, say that simple two-letter word, no. And suddenly, everything just completely unravels.
So it always starts with something so reasonable, doesn't it? A totally normal, everyday thing. You know, you're just trying to set a limit. Maybe it's screen time, maybe it's, no, you can't have another cookie. Just a simple, necessary boundary.
And then, this. An absolute explosion. The reaction is just so much bigger than the situation seems to call for. We're not talking about a little bit of whining here. No, this is a full-on meltdown. And it can be, kind of scary. It's overwhelming, and let's be honest, it is incredibly frustrating to handle.
Okay, so let's really get into this. When we see a reaction like that, what's our first instinct, right? We try to label it. We try to make sense of what feels like, well, a direct challenge to us. But what if that gut reaction, that first instinct, is actually wrong?
This right here. This is the core idea. And honestly, it's a total game changer. The whole idea is to just pause, to stop that immediate reaction, that feeling of being defied, and just consider something totally different. What if this huge, overwhelming behavior isn't personal? What if it has nothing to do with you?
And this right here brings us to the big question, because how we frame this behavior, it changes everything. It changes how we respond. So, are we dealing with plain old disrespect, or is it something else entirely? Is it an act of defiance, or is it actually a cry for help?
So, let's look at these two paths. On one hand, you've got the myth, right? Our gut reaction. We think it's willful, that it's a tantrum designed to get their way, that it's defiance. But the reality is something else. It's about dysregulation. And this is a huge shift. It's not that the child won't behave, it's that they literally can't. That behavior is a signal, a cry for help. It's coming from a place of complete overwhelm. Their entire system is just overloaded.
Okay, so if it's not a choice, then what in the world is going on here? Like, what's happening on a biological level? To really get it, we've got to look inside the brain when it feels like it's under threat.
And this is the absolute crucial point. For some kids, the word no isn't just, a bummer. It's not just a negative. It literally triggers a fight or flight response. Their brain processes that simple little word as a real, genuine threat. And when that happens, the logical thinking part of the brain, it just goes offline. The primitive survival part completely takes over.
But why? I mean, that's the million-dollar question, right? Why can one kid just shrug off a no, while for another, it's like a 5-alarm fire going off in their brain?
Well, the answer seems to be this powerful mix of a few things. First, you've got emotional dysregulation. Then, you mix that with poor frustration tolerance. And for some kids, especially if they're neurodivergent, like with fetal alcohol spectrum disorders or FASD, this isn't just a phase they'll grow out of. Nope, it's a core feature of how their brain is actually wired.
So what even is emotional dysregulation? The best way to think about it is like a broken emotional thermostat. The brain just can't dial the response to the right level. So a small thing, a tiny disappointment like, hey, turn off the tablet, feels absolutely catastrophic inside. And the reaction we see on the outside, it's a perfect match for that huge, overwhelming feeling on the inside.
And that's just one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is low frustration tolerance. You can think of this one like a skill, maybe like emotional stamina. It's your ability to just sit with a frustrating feeling without completely falling apart. And just like any skill, it's got to be built up. It takes practice. And some kids, well, they're starting with a much bigger deficit here.
Okay, so if we accept that the old way of seeing this as disrespect is just wrong, well, then it means our old tools aren't going to work either. Things like punishment and isolation, they're not going to help. In fact, they could make things way worse. We need a totally new toolkit, one that's designed for the real problem. And this is where the hope comes in. Because this isn't some life sentence of constant meltdowns. It's really an invitation to shift our whole approach. The goal isn't about controlling behavior anymore. The new goal is to connect and to help our kids build the skills they're missing.
So what does this new way actually look like? What do we do? Well, it's all about being proactive. So step 1, give choices. A hard no is like hitting a brick wall, but a choice like, hey, do you want to turn off the tablet now or in 2 minutes? That changes everything. It gives them a little bit of control back, makes them feel like a partner, not an enemy. Okay, step 2, use countdowns. A sudden stop is a shock to the system, but a 5-minute warning, then a 2-minute warning, that gives the brain time to prepare. It's like building a little off-ramp for the activity. And then, number 3, for those times when a meltdown happens anyway, we've got this really powerful tool that flips punishment on its head. It's called a time-in.
Now, this is so different from a traditional timeout, right? A timeout sends the message, you're too much for me, go away and deal with your big feelings alone. Which, when your brain already feels threatened, can feel like abandonment. A time-in is the exact opposite. It's all about connection. You stay close, you lend them your calm, you're basically helping their nervous system reboot. You're not punishing them, you're co-regulating with them.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. What if we could completely reframe these incredibly difficult moments? What if that explosive reaction to no wasn't a wall we have to defend, but a bridge that actually gives us a peek into how our child's brain is working, an opportunity to teach a crucial life skill, and a chance to build an even deeper, more solid connection. Just think what might change for you and for them if you started seeing it that way.